All right, Dr. Ryan, what I want to talk about today, and very specifically, we call ourselves the silver-haired superstar team. And one of the reasons is a big part of our team members, I'm a 75-year-old retired exercise physiologist and a certified Nautilus health coach. So I've spent my career in the industry of exercise, nutrition, weight loss, and wellness. And so most of my social group are pretty much over 60 years old. And when you look at the numbers, up to 90% of Americans are deficient in something. And that number goes up the older that we tend to get. And one of the things, and this is not my statistics, this is not LiveGood statistics. These are numbers I went directly to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. And one of the reason that I'm promoting the LiveGood membership program, because I, as a wellness professional, know that we are literally in a crisis today. Dr. Ryan, I was pretty interested in some of those statistics you talked about today around diabetes. But if we have 20 people on this call that are over the age of 65, we know that 16 of those people on this call have at least one chronic deficiency condition. And that runs everywhere from hypertension, high cholesterol, chronic pain, arthritis, heart disease, diabetes. And I want to point out and make sure that you understand, we do nothing for individuals' health. The only thing that we help the health of is the diet. That's what we improve. What results people see is all based on individuals and what their needs are. So one of the things that we hope that you can do is really help us focus, Dr. Ryan, on specifically supplementation towards, seniors. Carl, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you do the introduction, if you will, and I'll take over the co-hosting.
Absolutely. A good day to you, friends. Carl coming to you here from Tennessee. It is April 24th, and we are in for a real treat, friends. We've got the product developer, Dr. Ryan Goodkin, with us today. And I do say doctor, as he is a doctor of 15 years of pharmacy. We appreciate his time. You've heard me say it before, friends. We have to be passionate about the products before we can be passionate about anything else. Bible tells us not to harm the temple. So we are bettering our own temple with these amazing products. I saw the 5-minute video back December 27th. I hope and pray each and every one of you on here has seen the 5-minute LiveGood tour video. The hook was set when I saw certified organic USDA reds and greens, as you heard me say before, spending $150 a month for super beets and athletic greens, and I could get those same products, and we did not give up on quality thereof. As you'll know here shortly, if you don't already know, if you hadn't seen many of Dr. Ryan and his lovely bride Lisa's videos on these products, and you can see they live it out. They don't just tell others what to do and don't do it. They live out health and wellness, as you can see in their fitness. They prefer for nothing subpar to enter the body, as that was important to me and my family. So we didn't give up on quality. We're just giving up having to pay the high dollar cost, from elsewhere and in the past. So we're super excited about that. That's why we're growing so quickly around the world. Dr. Ryan, thank you for your time today. Thank you for being here. And as Dwayne mentioned, this call is a little more geared towards the senior adults. However, newsflash, each and every one of us have children. Each and every one of us have grandchildren. So why don't you just set a little premise of how this evolved, what you're excited about, and then if you want to intertwine with, I'm going to just ask you, we'll start with this and then we'll throw in some questions and banter to and fro if need be. But let's just say, for instance, the common 65-year-old adult has a budget of $60 a month that they could put towards a plan of supplementation outside of their meals, and surround that around the products that and have formulated that would benefit our health and work in those parameters. We'll start with that, and then we're not going to leave anything out, as there's many of these products that I'm super excited about as well. But if you want to work in that kind of premise, or whatever the Lord leads you to, you go ahead and share with us, and then we'll chat a little bit. But your time is much appreciated. So take it away, sir.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Dwayne. That was a nice introduction. A little bit about yourself I did not know. Thank you, Carl. I do have enough time to spend on enough. I can spend as long as we want on the call today. I'm not in any rush. I look forward to this. I actually really enjoy speaking, especially these more interactive discussions. There's just so much, there's so much content. There's so much that we can really kind of dig our heels into and try to do our best to spread the good word on being a nutrition-based solution. And if you heard our call today, of course, we're always kind of preaching that it's not just a supplement that's going to fix our issues, that it's really food-based. And, you know, we on this call, we probably all have heard Hippocrates say that food is thy medicine, that, and that's a belief system that we kind of carry. He was early on talking about healing the gut. I mean, it's just an incredible story, you know, reading and reflecting back on what medicine probably was then, what it means today, and why our system is not addressing some of these core issues that seem so obvious to us. You know, I think something that'd be relevant and fun to just open with, Carl, is a little discussion on aging. You know, I mean, look, it's inevitable, of course, but do we recognize aging as a disease? The answer is no, and mostly probably due to the fact that we have a rather large, robust insurance billing system. And so if there is not a diagnosis code, it's very difficult for anybody to have any financial incentive or any reason to develop anything to treat something that's not necessarily recognized as a disease. Obesity is teetering on that right now. We're kind of there, but it's still a tough field. Aging, though, is not. You know, aging is not considered a disease, and so we're having a lot of unique therapies that I see on my perspective, in my peers and in my circles, that are being developed and used off-label. A lot of them are being prescribed by anti-aging clinics. A lot of the so-called functional medicine space are using them. And I'll give you a couple of examples just because I think it's kind of interesting to see what they're doing. But before I give you those examples, I would like to remind you that if you were ever to visit with a functional medicine provider, someone that works in the preventive medicine space, they are without a doubt going to speak to you about nutrition, exercise, the pillars of health: nutrition, exercise, stress, sleep, socialization. They're definitely going to do that. And they're going to talk to you about supplements and how they can help with some of the issues and a lot of those deficiencies that were highlighted. But there's also some other exciting things that are coming out and helping slow down or helping to replace some of the things that we lose as we age. You know, the pituitary gland in the brain, of course, is one area that is a big focus area for growth hormone. You know, as we age early, starting in, I believe, our 20s, but, you know, this is a testosterone decline. This is a growth hormone decline. And believe it or not, a lot of our hormones basically run out of fuel. It gets to a point where there's such a chronic, you know, imbalance of hormones that most of what we're doing in our world is reactive. We're being so incredibly reactive in the sick care model and spending a fortune doing it. So not only is the health on a general decline in the wrong direction, but our financial or the economics of our healthcare system is the same way. So at what point does it really start to come head to head and force these tough decisions on probably on a legislative level? But anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. These new growth hormone drugs that are coming out, they're prompting the pituitary to release more growth hormone. And what we're seeing is it's doing the things that we talk a lot about. It's helping people preserve lean muscle mass, build new lean muscle mass, reduce body fat, the storage fat, the bad fat. And you're seeing incredible results. I would love to see that be more mainstream. But here's some things that we can start doing. We can start making sure that people don't have nutrient deficiencies. And even if they do possess nutrient deficiencies in their later years, you have an ample amount of time to make corrections and let the body have an opportunity to use and to correct these imbalances. And I'm finding that that's actually been rather, for me, motivating, for like inspirational to see that, you know, maybe somebody's been on a water pill, a diuretic for hypertension for so long, and they've been depleted of magnesium and potassium. And now we're seeing, geez, we're replacing back these minerals, and all of a sudden their energy's back, they're sleeping better, their stress levels are lower. These are just incredible turnaround stories, and they've never been told, never once have been told by their medical provider or their pharmacist when they're in the pharmacy picking up the medication. By the way, did you know that that diuretic will deplete your magnesium and potassium? Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. So for me to tell you that I was a disenchanted, frustrated pharmacist on the bench is an understatement. And so I made it my passion, and I've just been blessed to have the opportunity to meet folks like you and the LiveGood platform to spread the word and to really let people know that it's the foundation is quite simple. Now if you can incorporate other healthy living concepts and practices into it, things can really turn around quickly for you. Now that's making an assumption. I have to make assumptions here, folks. I don't have a choice, but when I tell you that 75% of adults in America are either overweight or obese, I'm going to say that they're probably not sleeping well, they're probably low on energy, and the list goes on. So that's why the numbers, the statistics are just so staggering. And you're absolutely right, Dwayne. 9 out of 10 people have at least one mineral or vitamin deficiency. It's staggering. And so that's what I would say to you, Carl. Like, what would we do if we had a budget of $60, which is seemingly quite a bit, really, for the LiveGood model anyway. But I would say you start with the foundation, and we go from there. Ultimately, I do think that every single one of our products has a place in therapy. The only one that really that I have caution on, and I will say it's not for everybody, is CBD. If there's kidney disease and liver disease, then we can get into some of the specifics of things that may not be a good fit, which I try to do in my email. I really do try to help people understand what things may not be a perfect fit, but that's just, generally speaking, it's from the masses perspective, you can basically use every single one of our products, and they have really good utility. Should we, Carl, would you like to dig in and go through, how would you like to proceed? Would you like to just ask me questions?
You tell me what you're most passionate about for us, because we're going to get something out of it. Most of us on here, like many of your calls are already spot on with you. I love the fact that whole food source with the reds and greens, we getting absolutely amazing results out of the factor 4. Of course, there would be the multivitamin for $9.95. I make my 18 and 20-year-old daughters take it with the D2 or D3 and K2 every day. So you just here's my regiment, and you can pick it apart. For me, that the non-compromised that I won't be without, and I like the 3 powders together. I take the protein and reds and greens, taste delicious, all 3 of them together.
Yeah, it does.
I drink the coffee every morning. The factor 4 and the multi are those I won't be without. And in the past, representing many companies for many years, been in the industry 36 years. I would spend $250 to $300 a month just for myself, and then my wife, and then my daughters, and the cost thereof. I'm just so delighted that we didn't give up on any of the qualities with this. And by the way, I just noticed the factor 4 even has a COA now, so kudos on that as well. So you just
well, let me run with a couple of things then. If you guys aren't in a hurry or have any questions, let's just go with it. I mean, please interrupt me at any time. Look, if I'm in your shoes,
I do have one question while you're at it.
Yeah.
The magnesium in D2K3. I know you mentioned taking it at night, but can you also take it? In the twice a day? Because I'm borderline diabetic, and I've always said I'm not afraid of any disease. I'm afraid of my habits more than anything. So I'm trying to change those old Southern habits. So what would you say about the magnesium and those 2 combinations twice a day? How would that work?
George, I just want to know where you are at this moment here. I want to be there with you, buddy. That place looks amazing. Where are you? Costa Rica?
He's back on mute.
You're muted, George. You got to unmute. That's his backdrop.
I'm at a secret location.
That's a backdrop. I show you.
It's a backdrop.
Nah, you got me that time, George. Won't happen again. Hey, so good question. Sure, of course. Magnesium, I carved it out of the multi because I just don't believe that it should be in there. I think you should have more control over the dosing of it, the timing of it. And by the way, that certain minerals can chelate, which means they can bind to one another in the gut and they can prevent absorption. You know, magnesium combined with calcium or phosphorus, sometimes manganese. I mean, there's a few different things, minerals that combine together. I always liked it in the afternoon and the evening for magnesium twice a day, because I think it's balanced out better that way. But you could really experiment with it and try it anytime. The only thing I encourage you not to do is try not to combine it with other minerals. You know, try to separate it out by at least 2 hours before or 1 hour after, and you should be fine. Experiment, find what works best for you. You could have your full dose right before bed. You could do it, you know, in the middle of the day. I don't see any issue with that. The vitamin D, K2, though, I say in the morning because they've shown that it suppresses the pineal gland, suppresses the secretion of melatonin, and so it's been shown to play very beneficial in the sleep and awake cycle and letting the body sort of set itself up for the day. Maybe it has something to do with those early days hunter-gatherer where you step out and that sunlight hits the retina and the body responds and makes vitamin D in the skin. And it could very well be something like that, biologically programmed for that reason. So that's what I would say to that, George. Good question. So look, if I was all in your seats, what are some things that I would want to preserve into my later years? I would want to preserve my cognition, probably. I mean, if I'm thinking like just for the audience of this call, I mean, and what are we seeing and hearing about cognition? I'm sure you all are paying attention. There's been a lot of exciting research coming out on it, specifically related to early onset or late, but dementia, Alzheimer's, even any of the neurodegenerative disorders. But they're calling it now like type 3 diabetes. They're calling it because they're saying basically that between the correlation between diabetes and the inflammatory process and the inability for the neurons in the brain to properly utilize insulin is contributing to the Alzheimer's. And so it's an interesting hypothesis. I'm really curious to see how this thing leads. We're getting closer to having a more, maybe not a cure, but a better treatment. But I'm very intrigued by it. And I would say from my perspective, maintaining my blood sugar, keeping blood sugars low, under control. George, if you're pre-diabetic or early stage type 2 diabetes, you are absolutely in control and can reverse it and have, never have to deal with diabetes. But you got to know your sugars, you got to know your diet, you got to know the foods you're eating, you got to pay attention to things you're doing. But I would say cognition for me is number one. I don't want to give up my mental faculty. I just don't want to do that. And there's a lot we can talk about. There's a lot we can dig in. So guys, if you have any questions, we'll come right back to it. And I guess the next thing for me would be my mobility. As I'm aging, it's like I'm more injury prone now than I ever have been. I keep saying, what is this? Is this an aging thing? Like, what is going on? But I would say mobility, and the statistics are there to support it. I bet you, Dwayne, you know the stats well. If you fall, break, and have a fracture after the age of 65, your prognosis is not good. It's actually quite poor, and we're having major issues. There's not only in the health, of the individual, but of course in the financial toll on that as well. I mean, it's in the hundreds, I believe you wouldn't believe it. I think it's 100 billion or something annually. The number is absolutely crazy. That is as a direct result of falls. And so mobility is a big one for me. And that's why I kind of always preach this, like lean muscle mass, maintaining, good, healthy like tissue, and trying to prevent injury in tendons and ligaments, which happens a lot in people that are overweight, preventing that, because then your mobility starts to decline, your balance, your gait, everything starts to change. And as the exercise physiologist there will probably tell you, once that starts, it can be very difficult to reverse it. I mean, but again, though, if you are aware of it and you start working towards fixing those issues, then you certainly can make some good progress. And I think that's why I always talk about lean muscle mass. And it's like the call today was not so much about ditching weight on the scale, although if you are overweight, that's what you should be looking for, but it's really to replace some of that excess body fat, which again, 3 out of 4 people are carrying, and putting lean muscle mass on, especially in the elderly. Especially, your appetites are decreasing, you're not getting the proper nutrition, you're not feeling the energy, you're not exercising as much, possibly have injuries that are nagging you. And there's like, the list is really quite extensive. So your muscle mass is just, and of course the biology of the body, you're just burning muscle mass right off your bones. Your bone density is going down, and that's another area of concern for me. I do have a lot of interest in coming out with a very healthy, good bone supplement. I think that would be a good choice for LiveGood. But so we're talking muscle, we're talking lean muscle mass, we're talking about reducing body fat so that we can preserve our mobility, our gait, our balance, and so that we can continue to preserve. Hang on one sec. Sorry, guys. Hang on.
Everybody, you can take this moment to send a text out to invite someone to the call.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Jump back with you. My 10-year-old, actually, I don't know what kind of meltdown was going on out there, but it was a good one. Oh, boy.
Well, let me ask you this, Dr. Goodkin. You know, as we get older, obviously, there's a tendency to start compiling medication on top of medication.
Oh.
You know, you talked earlier, and I didn't realize how the statistic had escalated to 70% of Americans, I believe it was the statistic, were either diabetic or pre-diabetic. You know, and in metformin, just about every other person I talk to today is on metformin, and the contraindications of that as far as muscle loss. And, you know, can you talk, you know, we talk about the business side of LiveGood being very simple things, but you do them consistently. And I think the same when it comes to nutrition. Can you talk about the fact it's not about how much you take, but it's what you take and take consistently to fuel the body. You know, I'm a big believer in nutrition as the fuel of the human structure. And I like what Lisa said, you can't out-exercise poor nutrition. Could you talk about the need, not so much about all that they might take, but the consistency of it?
For sure. Yeah, happy to do so. Yeah, that stat was, I think, 1 out of 2. So 50% of people are either pre-diabetic, type 1 or type 2. Still a very large number. And you talk about metformin. I mean, of course, and metformin happens to be one of the drugs that I've looked at and put into my drug-induced nutrient depletion presentation. So it's a discussion overall on which prescription drugs deplete the body of nutrients. You know, I referenced the water pill earlier, of course. I'm gonna take your question, Dwayne, and just kind of twist it. And let me know if I missed the mark or if you want more on it. But the way I look at nutrition and supplementation is that it's similar to the way a medication works. You know, when you consume a medication, there is a schedule, and the schedule is based on a lot of things, but absorption, distribution, metabolism, elimination. So basically the half-life, it has a lot to do with the safety interval. Forget the scientific term for it. But it ultimately is trying to maintain a steady state concentration in the body. It's generally speaking, while you're dosing your meds, you know, whatever, every 12 hours, once a day. I mean, if it's got a super long half-life, you'll see some things dosed once a week. But ultimately for us, the supplementation falls into that same bucket. You know, they're essential. So you've got to get them from food. If you're trying to sort of go along that theme, that the things that we need out of our diet, they have to be consistently applied in order to be effective. Can't really start something and then stop something and expect a positive result without, I mean, you know, it's like, it would be silly to assume that would be the case, right? So I like the idea of making the analogy of a steady state concentration. And so I could use vitamin D or magnesium, any one of them. Probably magnesium would be a better example. Actually, no, magnesium's tough because like magnesium deposits a lot in your bone and your tissues. So like, for instance, if you went and tried to get a magnesium test, very little magnesium is free swimming in your blood. So, and then anything fat soluble like vitamin D or vitamin K is also, it deposits in tissues, is a little harder too, but a B vitamin might be a good example. You know, B vitamins are in foods. If you're vegetarian, you have a hard time with it. You pretty much have to supplement with it, you know, in meats, but you ultimately need a steady state concentration with that B vitamin. That is an every single day dose. Every single day. And if you're not there, if you're not getting it, you can see it right in your lab work, on your micronutrients will say, oh, you know, he's low in vitamin B12. Oh, wait a minute, I've been taking it my whole life up until like 2 weeks ago. You know, and sure enough, you're deficient now. Dwayne, I'm not sure if I hit the mark on that or where I was really going, but let me know.
Well, you know, it's just like if someone, if they just simply ordered our multivitamin and took it every single day as in the dosages set up without missing, it's going to be far better than people that, you know, they buy a real expensive vitamin or nutrition product. They take it for a month or so and then they can't afford it, so they quit taking it, or they take it sparingly to make it last longer. And that happens a lot with other companies. I know it does, because of the cost of the supplements. So, you know, I guess the point I was getting to is by adding certain things, like I believe the reds with the nitric oxide is very important. I think that's every senior should be using our red product. But the idea that if you set up and start using something, as Carl started out, you know, I've got a budget, so what should I take and not deviate from? It's that long term. It's like someone doing 10 push-ups a day. You know, if you did 10 push-ups one day, it's not going to be very beneficial. But you do it every single day and never miss, no matter what else you do, it has a cumulative effect.
I support that statement. I agree with you. Here's what that nitric oxide pathway, we should talk about that. We should get into that a little bit about the science and utilizing the dietary nitrates and the importance of it and how it can benefit your health. So if I'm honest, I'm going to say basically everything. The CBD is not for everybody, but I'm going to go foundational stuff. Absolutely. Because I'm thinking cognition, right? Like, let's tackle that. I'm going to do magnesium, I'm going to do D, and I'm going to do a multi. I'm going to do it every single day. Now I'm talking about my mobility, my muscle strength, my ligaments, my tendons. I'm looking forward to the collagen product for this as well, but I'm going to have the protein on board and I'm going to have the amino acids on board. I would absolutely start there. I mean, the reds and greens are almost like another category, but because they're so nutrient dense and they have so much, they're so high in phytonutrients and, well, antioxidants is what they are. It's really like the closest thing from a, say, dietary supplement side of things that's anti-aging. It helps with so much of the inflammation and we call it reactive oxygen species. I mean, those are really what those free radicals are. Those things. So I would go there. I would say the three foundational supplements. I would do the amino acids, the protein, and then the reds and the greens. I might be missing the coffee. Maybe missing the CBD. Factor 4, of course, factor 4. One of the goals in life now should be is this with coronary artery disease as high as it is. You know, heart disease is the #1 killer, and heart disease is a few different things, but coronary artery disease is really the #1. That's the narrowing of our arteries. That's the plaque buildup, atherosclerosis, right? So we have to move those plaques along, not let them deposit, not let them build, not let them occlude the blood vessel and ultimately lead to a heart attack or stroke. We do that through nitric oxide pathway, so they're super reds. We do that through, you know, reducing triglycerides, raising our HDL or good cholesterol. We do that with factor 4, the B vitamin, niacin. So all of these different things have a purpose in the long-term play. This is a preventive thing. This is not waiting till we're sick and told that but even then I would still do it, of course, without a doubt, 100%. I would still, even if I was diagnosed with a condition like coronary artery disease and I've got narrowing of the arteries, or even if I had triple or quadruple bypass already, I absolutely would still come on these supplements. But of course, that's between you and your medical provider. But needless to say, that's where I would go, Dwayne. I think that there's things we're missing. There's things LiveGood does not have that I wish we did, and we're working on it. But man, we've only really been at it for less than a year. And so there's a lot ahead of us.
Wonderful. Well, and Carl, maybe I ought to let you, we've heard a lot about collagen, and we think that may be our next product. Could you talk a little bit about collagen, with the benefits, what it's for?
Yeah, you betcha. You bet. Happy to. Was not a big believer in collagen for quite some time. It took me a little while to come around full circle, and finally looks like the literature does support it. It's a large molecule. It's very big. It's a protein, but it's large to where it wasn't even being absorbed. Then hydrolyzed came along, so they shrank it down to the smaller peptides. So collagen is everything that you basically can see, feel, and touch. I mean, it's the protein that makes up our skin, our hair, our nails, our joints, our tendons, our ligaments, our cartilage. it's everything, you know, it's the most abundant protein in our body. And, you know, most people were under the impression early on, well, I take collagen, my skin should look plumper and I should feel better. I should, you know, look younger. And that it didn't quite hit as hard on the beauty side as it probably should have. But now I'm so excited about this one because it really is funny. The marketing efforts around collagen have been a lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of smoke and mirrors. I went into it thinking, no, we're not doing a collagen. Then I was like, okay, I'm open to a bovine, a clean bovine, you know, grass-fed, pasture-raised, single source bovine collagen. And then I started looking at people have got eggshell, they've got marine collagen, they have bird, like these avian cartilage, and it's all to add these different types of collagen. So there's really a bunch of different types of collagen protein. We settled on the stuff that's that's founded in science, the stuff that shows that it's actually been beneficial, and that's type 1 and 3. And you get that out of bovine. So, but I was like, all right, well, that's fine. There's a lot of those on the market, though. We really don't need to be entering that space and try and just race to the bottom with everything, you know. And I said, how do we make it better? So at the time, I didn't know, but there's these patented, like branded ingredients, right? And so I found a few and sourced a few, and there's actually 3 additional ingredients in our collagen that are branded with scientific studies and literature to support it. One of which actually slows the breakdown. So earlier on, I told you, it's like, geez, the problem with aging, you know, you stop making as much testosterone, you stop releasing as much growth hormone, you know, but collagen's the same way. It really breaks down rather quickly, especially from 40 on. And so the collagen, so slowing down the breakdown is also an important part of this this formula as well. So yeah, I think that the collagen is going to be a home run. It's in a bag, it's in powder. It will not be in liquid form as much as many people want it to be. I'm not a huge fan of the liquids, only because the solubilizers and preservatives, and quite frankly, if it's got water in it, you have a hard time maintaining stability. And that matters to me, because if I'm saying that this product is good for 12 months or 24 months, and you have in your house, I want it to still be as strong and potent as we said it was. And it's a hard thing to do in water. And so, but the collagen will be a 30 serving bag. We've made efforts. We're trying to be more, it's environmentally conscious. You know, it's important to me. I cringe over the single-use plastic world, and I'm trying my best to try to find better sustainable product packaging. It's been a challenge, there's no doubt. But as far as the collagen goes, I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a big hitter, and we know we'll sell fast through it. It's unflavored, but it's got this neat, like, sort of hint of tea. So you can mix it with virtually anything. The solubility is excellent, mixes really well. It doesn't really settle out much. It doesn't precipitate out. It's just very smooth, very good tasting. And wait till you see the ingredients. I can't share with you the ingredients yet, but once we do come out with our first release of it, I'll make sure there's a lot of powerful pearls, you know, some pearls that go along with it.
And that was going to be one of my questions of the day, if you could have divulged at least one more ingredient, but I don't guess that's so. You think that to kind of mix in with the coffee would be a good mix of,
yeah,
or separate?
I do. People worry about the denaturing of protein in hot temperatures, but you know, that's not a concern at the temperatures we're talking about. I mean, it's just not. So that would be fine. Collagen in the protein, or collagen in your coffee, totally, all day long. I would love to do that. I'll try that.
One other question, and you mentioned early on, you know, basically a big portion of our immune system in our central is our gut. Do you have slated for a digestive enzyme pro and prebiotic all inclusive?
Betcha.
Okay.
Well,
I
that
love that more than you know. The second brain, the gut microbiome. You betcha. I am so passionate about gut health. My wife is too. And I got to tell you, it works. You start making these changes and focusing on gut health. Boy, does it work.
Yeah.
It is something special, but it comes back to nutrition. It's food-based medicine. You know,
right. Let me add to that then, or ask you this. I am a big proponent of supplemental fiber. Nobody gets enough fiber anymore. It's been almost processed out of our diet. I believe it's one of the #1 nutrition issues. Any chance we'd ever look at some type of fiber, additional fiber supplement we could bring on board?
yes.
Good.
Because I agree with you. The fiber with gut health is, I mean, it's everything. It's motility. Food for the healthy bacteria. I agree. I agree. We are so underserved on fiber. Look forward to that one for sure.
All right,
Yeah.
Carl, I'll turn it back to you. Any questions?
Yeah, I mean, he's covered all of our, I see a hand raised, Miss Sue. Do we want to, so Ryan, you're okay on time for another 6 or 8 hours?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Sue, if you can unmute.
Uh-oh, we got hands going up. So Sue,
Sue, if you can
Sue,
unmute.
if you'll unmute yourself, go ahead and ask your question. Let's go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Ryan, for being here. I wanted to find out if there's anything about liver health and or hormone help for seniors.
Oh, not really, to be honest. I mean, liver health being one of those things that just needs a lot of foundational just supplementation to feed the liver. I mean, it's a high energy demand center. The liver does a great job. You know, the idea of these detox pathways and having to try to speed up a detox pathway, it's a job that it's performing on its own. Enzyme, primarily done by enzymes. I like to support the enzymes. That's sort of my goal in liver health and detoxification, is providing everything the liver needs in order to continue to carry out its normal function. And I think amino acids does a good job of supporting the enzyme pathway. There's a lot of vitamins and minerals involved in that pathway as well. So I really kind of try to steer people that way. You know, some of the liver detox supplementation I've seen isn't really quite enough for me to fully get behind. To me, it's more about abstinence. If you have liver health issues, if you've got a fatty liver, if you've got steatosis, if you've got hepatitis, I mean, if you're that far along, you know, you got to catch it early. I mean, typically it's an alcohol-based fatty liver, and we know that that's super common in the world. I mean, so I always try to make sure people are understanding the risks of alcohol. It's a little bit hard to preach abstain from alcohol. I will say that there's no known benefit. I mean, even this one glass of wine concept is sort of a little bit strange to me. But look, I do drink on occasion, so I'm not want to sit here and say you can't drink. But I think from a liver health perspective, Sue, it's better to provide the liver with all the tools it needs to carry out its function. I'm not aware of anything that I would be able to bring to the market that would be able to make any kind of claim anywhere close to reversing some of these liver issues or preventing anything. Prevent, I don't use that word typically in supplements anyway, but you know what I'm trying to say. I hope you know what I'm trying to say. It's a bit of a tough situation for me, and obviously certain meds, a lot of meds metabolize through the liver. I mean, the liver does most of the detoxification, and it will on its own make more enzymes in response to more offending agents. So, you know, alcohol being one of them. I mean, that's what really makes the liver so fatty, is it sees so much alcohol, it keeps making more enzymes, and that's why tolerance goes up, and that's why the fatty tissue builds. But I'm telling you, amino acids, micronutrients, the B vitamins, basically everything to do with the foundational daily essentials pack is what I would steer people to for liver health. Proper hydration, and of course, healthy nutrition, exercise, for sure, all of those things. And then I think, what was your other question, Sue? It was liver and
Hormones.
Oh boy, that's a whole lengthy discussion. I'm very well schooled, sort of educated in the hormone world. I did run a clinic, a preventive medicine clinic, where hormones were part of the clinic. I'm familiar with them. I'm familiar with many of the imbalances that people are dealing with. I'm familiar with the aging process around it. There's not a whole lot that we can do from a singular supplement perspective. Again, I kind of go back to addressing the precursors of hormones. Thyroid is a unique one that I've spent some time with, and I've toyed around in supplementation. There are some unique supplements on the market that can help thyroid. Talking about some of, just the sex hormones alone they respond so well and so quickly to lifestyle interventions. And so I've seen that successfully. I seen it myself. You know, my testosterone was in the 200s. I not refused, but I elected not to do any testosterone replacement therapy. Focused more on changing my weightlifting and some of the other things in my food intake. And I eat some organ meats now, and I do different things. And my testosterone on it to almost 480. You know, so lifestyle can make a big change. Going back to that lean muscle mass thing, muscle mass is a major player in hormone regulation, whereas fat does a lousy job. So if you were looking for like quick kind of fixes for hormone imbalances, and you're not on hormone replacement therapy, then of course I would go back to this conversation around lean muscle mass and reducing body fat. I mean, those are really the fastest route to correcting some of those things. But if you're really in the toilet in some areas, you seek out a functional medicine provider and then have an honest discussion after reviewing your labs, and more importantly, what your symptoms are, and then you kind of go from there. You know, it's a benefit risk analysis, of course, as it always is with hormones.
I appreciate it. Grace Tornick, you have your hands up.
We got Miss Grace. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Very exciting. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I have two questions. Number one, will you at some point offer the coffee and the energy in individual packs? Because I love a really good to-go coffee, and I carry those in my purse, and the company that I was using with mushrooms and nootropics and all that is no longer available. So I'm like beyond excited about your coffee. And so I just wondered if we would ever have those in individual packs. And I'm so impressed, and I don't know how you can disclose this. I mean, how are the prices so amazing? Like the value for the products, I'm like in shock of what you're bringing to the table for us at the price that you're bringing at the quality price point. So it seems too good to be true, which I know it's not because of a 90-day money back guarantee. But I'm curious. That's all. Those are my two questions.
Hey, Grace, nice to meet you. Thank you for both those questions. The first one is we were so close a few weeks ago on stick packs. You would be shocked to see the pricing. So I said, all right, well, let's do it in a 10 or 15 serving. We'll do stick packs. It is very close. It's on the board. I agree with you, and especially coffee. I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. We may or may not be phasing out the E3. That was not an original LiveGood formulation. My mindset is that we sort of create a energy sort of pre-workout in a stick pack, similar to, but a little different than the E3. I would like to see something like that, but I'm with you, Grace. I hear you, and that is on the board. Hey, real quick regarding pricing and value, I get this question a lot, and to me, like, I don't know why, it feels good to say this, but I've been in a few other businesses. I was in pharmacy ownership, and I've done some other like venture business type deals, and this is the first business that I can really honestly say that the overhead is so incredibly low relative to the touch and the size. And it's a really solid offering. It's what allows us to have pricing the way it is. None of it, we're all talking to you from our homes in our t-shirts or whatever, you know, we don't have fancy cars. We're not paying ourselves salaries. We don't have, you know, fancy office space, 10,000 square feet overlooking the water. None of that exists. We have a warehouse. We have our fulfillment center, which is basically our office, even though there's not really an office per se, but it's basically a warehouse. It's a warehouse. It's a fulfillment center. Some people have visited. And we also have our manufacturing partners. I mean, there's such low overhead. We're all very hands-on in this business. All the partners. There's four of us. There's Ben. There's Nodder. There's Lisa, and there's myself. And so we do quite a bit on our own. We wear a lot of hats. We are hiring. Obviously, customer service has been a real kind of a snag for us, but that's the model. That's how we've come after this thing with such low and aggressive pricing. And look, when you go to when you're manufacturing products, even though it's in vegetable capsules, it's soy-free, dairy-free, gluten-free, I mean, ultimately the price points shouldn't have to change that much. It's really a lot about what we're leaving out that's as important. So the manufacturers don't like it because they want to add things that are easier on the machines, that are easier to produce. And I get questions all the time, can we do this? Because it'll make manufacturing faster and easier. And I would say, no, I'm sorry, no, we're not doing that. We're unable. Yeah, anyway, that's kind of the gist of that, though. But great question, Grace. Thank you.
Thank you. Genevieve, see your hand up.
Okay, I listened at 12 o'clock. That was fantastic. But it really distressed me because I'm a cheese addict. And your wife said cheese lit up the same places in the brain as sugar does. And I went, oh, don't tell me I have to give up cheese. I guess I have to. And as far as, also, we talked about fiber. I'm a kind of a celery addict also. I eat a lot of celery with hummus, and I guess I get plenty of fiber that way. As far as the reds are concerned, I mix that in. I make my own lemonade, and I mix it with the lemonade. It's delicious. That's okay, isn't it? Doesn't have to be mixed with water, does it?
Sure, no, of course that's okay. But be careful with all the carbohydrates you're describing. Yeah, yeah, celery, that's funny. Celery with hummus, I love it. But no, you can mix that. That's totally fine. And by the way, the cheese, we eat cheese. We typically eat like I think it's more goat usually, and Lisa's real particular about the sourcing. I think she was trying to discourage people that eat, maybe like more processed, highly processed, unknown dairy-based cheese.
Okay, well, I guess I don't have to give it up completely then. That's good. Thank you so much. I really, really learned a lot. I mean, I've been into nutrition. I have a minor in nutrition, so I've really been into nutrition most of my life. And most people say to me, how come you're so healthy? Well, I'm trying to get a lot of people recruited because they said, well, if you think I'm healthy, then you need to see what I'm taking.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Genevieve. Jim Adcock, you've got your hand up if you'll unmute.
Look. There you go.
There you go, Jim.
Hey, you had a little saying that says, you can't, whoever said this earlier, says you can't out exercise poor nutrition. You got any other little bulletins like that that's real catchy and we can use?
Oh, I bet you we do. Sure. That's Lisa's thing. She absolutely has a bunch of those up her sleeve. Yeah, I'll have to ask her for a few. We can maybe push them out there. That's funny.
Oh, I thought that was a great one. I wrote that down. That's and there's a lot of good information that she gave out this morning on that call. And I'm going to about MyFitnessPal. Did I have that correct, Ron?
That is correct.
I want to get this stuff out to people because they're great ways to stay on track. All right, Jenny
Miss Jenny from Jersey.
Hello.
Welcome.
I typed my question in the chat, but I'm going to ask it. Children, young children, like I watch grandkids and all that during the week. What about is there anything that they shouldn't have? Like I have a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old that I'm watching one day a week. So how about the reds? Is that a no? Because they love the greens and then they love the pea protein. Is there anything they should not have?
Yeah, there is. It's those little young developing bodies. I mean, it's a challenge because I let my kids, mine are 8 and 10, 9 and 10 now. So that's a little bit different, but 1 and 2 is just too young to even, I couldn't imagine, are they even able to be drinking the greens or the reds? But look, you would never be able to get vitamin D is probably too much. I would avoid basically everything in that age. Quite honestly, I mean, there's ways that I could justify it and try to make it work, but I mean, it's just so young. We do have plans for children's line. That is on the board as well. My gosh, I told you earlier, 40% of kids are obese now, and it's just crazy. These kids are having such difficult times ahead for them, and supporting them with nutrition and education is such a passion for us. But honestly, if I heard that correctly, Jenny, and nice to meet you, by the way, if I heard that correctly, 1 and 2, or what ages 1 and 2 or 2 and under, I would avoid. You've got to focus on just basic nourishment for children at that age, and I don't know that the supplement would be a good choice.
I mean, is it dangerous to give them, like, they want a sip of my drink, let's say. So is it dangerous to have little sips because it's not something they're going to have every day? You just totally avoid it, you're saying? Oh,
no, that would be okay. I mean, the reds and greens, of course, it's whole foods. I mean, it's fine. I just don't see how they would find it palatable if they do. That's wild. I mean, that's great.
Oh, yeah.
But I wouldn't think there's no way I would open up a capsule of vitamin D and sprinkle it on their food, just without at least having my pediatrician as part of that care plan. You know, if we're doing that, I'd like to know some of the blood levels. I just wouldn't want to do that at 2,000 units and fat soluble. Things can build and they can become toxic, you know, and that's a scary thing, you know, when you're talking about those little youngsters. Just better to be, I would say it's just better to be safe than sorry anytime you're talking about that stuff. And it's not like the problem with the multi, you know, an example of the multi is just there's 24 to 26 different ingredients in there. Some are fat soluble, some are water soluble. Some metabolize different than others. I think I would just caution against that for now.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Jim,
And I love the product call today at noon. It was amazing. I think my brain thinks so fast and you guys were talking so fast. It was like, thank God for replays.
Oh, I love it. Thanks, Jenny.
Yes. Jim Adcox, you have another question.
Unmute, Jim.
Yeah, if you've got any plans of having anything with like some of the stuff's going around, new products now with glutathione, nanoparticles and stuff like that. You got anything like that on the board?
Yeah, great question, Jim. Glutathione's big. I'm a big fan of it. I actually use it by injection. I'll just do an intramuscular injection of it. It's a tripeptide. It breaks down. It's it kind of falls in that bracket where I haven't been able to see any convincing evidence that would suggest that it's bioavailable, that there's really any utility to glutathione, reduce glutathione on its own. There are some precursors that you can use, N-acetylcysteine, obviously sulfur-rich foods, sulfur being, you know, one of the components. So that's what I would suggest for now. Nanoparticles, I'm still probably a little bit green in that category. I recognize the utility from a transdermal perspective and getting across the skin barrier, but as far as GI absorption and the role they have in the body, because they're so small, are we talking about these nanoparticles now deposit in our tissues and eventually like literally reside there for extended periods of time? That's a possibility. I'm a little bit like hesitant on on that side of things at the moment. Love glutathione, not sold on it orally at this time, but N-acetylcysteine is one supplement that has been shown to have some promise in that category.
Thank you, Dr. Ryan. Hey, you mentioned, I believe I saw one of your things, speaking of many of us that are aging and have some aches and pains from time to time. Did you mention we may have slated something, topical pain type patches or something of that nature?
So that's my world, actually. I understand transdermal pain cream pretty well. Ben wants one bad. I will tell you, Ben wants a pain cream. The challenge again falls in the water. It's a product that is water-based. It's so hard to keep from bacterial contamination. It's very difficult to keep it not only stable and potent, but also free of bacteria. And it's a hard product to come clean on. I like to consider ourselves a clean label brand, somebody that like cares about the things that go not only in their body, but on their body. If you look at any one of these skincare creams that are designed to be transdermal, not just topical, there's a difference, but transdermal, that goes across it and it will circulate into the blood. You know, they're not that clean. There's some of these ingredients that are banned in the EU. So I like to try to follow the EU guidance. I do try to look at the Germany, what they do with theirs. I mean, they've banned so many more chemicals than the United States. The United States allows virtually anything. It's unbelievable. But I'm having trouble with that, Carl. I'm working on that, and I can't find anybody that can help me basically source the ingredients, put it into a product, and say that it's going to have shelf life. Really struggling in that category. I do like the patch category, but there's a transdermal challenge with size of the molecule, how big it can be. It's really a weight issue. 500 Dalton is the kind of general rule, but like, so it rules out a lot of ingredients. It's only so much you can do. Now we could do stuff topically and just treat local areas and do things like that, but that doesn't offer a whole ton of utility for us at this time. I like the pain cream concept a lot. If I can, I'm working on it. I really am working on it. If I can get a few more of the pieces of the puzzle, you would absolutely see a pain cream in our product line.
Well, thank you for that. What about real quick, and that'll be my last one, and I don't know if we'll carry on, but I believe you've mentioned also possibly slated in the near future some household high quality products, not to breathe the bleaches and this and that.
Yep. Okay, yeah, Carl, that's a wonderful question. I really think that that's part of the Live Good mission, is to let people know that just like we've talked about with ingesting, we've talked about applying things to our skin. Lisa, you'll hear her talk a lot about the beauty stuff that she uses and why she uses it. Same thing with cleaning products, cleaning supplies, you know, not having, you know, not air filtration, fragrances, you know, trying to avoid phthalates and forever chemicals that we've all heard about now, these microplastics. And so, you know, developing a clean lines, maybe skin, but clean line cleaning product, as well as like some aromatherapy. You know, we do like essential oils. We're looking at those. And so household items, things of that nature are on the radar. They're probably a little bit further down, I would say, than some of our near term, like gut health, fiber, different dosage forms, maybe children's. There's definitely like, it's so great because the vision board as we grow is expanding as well. And I'm really encouraged by that, but it stretches our resources a little bit. So earlier telling you about the hats we all wear, and we've got to get a little bit more support dialed in. And of course, we want to help you guys in the field. We really want to help you with content. That's been a thing that's ongoing. It's a little frustrating. We're not delivering as fast as we'd like to on some of the videos and the things of that nature and the educational materials. So Lisa and I just said, you know, we'll just do like these iPhone/Surface Pro videos, and then we'll get some content out there. But while we're working on some professional stuff to assist everybody in the field. But yeah, I agree, Carl. Household items. If you've got any other ideas, if anybody wants to email me some things like that, I'll add it to that category.
Thank you. Now, you're doing great on the Monday deals. We get them out and pass them along for
Cool.
now. But like you say, that 1 minute or so on the reds is good and crisp. And so, you know, if we have a few of those little marketing pieces, I know that's on the slate in due time as well. But the job is easy peasy already. But that's all much appreciated, all that you do. Jenny, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Super quick. Like, I just want to put perspective on this. Like so many times we're saying, what's next? What's next? What's next? But look what we have now. Like, everything is so amazing what we have here. Like, let's just like work with what we got, look forward to the future. But I mean, what is already in place? I can't believe that someone could say, I can't find 2 people that want to even try the product, never mind join the matrix or whatever. But so I just wanted to say that because it's really great what's in place right now. And I don't care what quality the YouTube video is. I went on your channel and I watched every single video about the products, and I love the training, and I just think it's pretty impressive. So it's away we go, bigger and better, but let's enjoy where we are right now as well.
Appreciate
Thank you for that
it,
reminder, Jenny.
Amen.
All right, I'm going to wrap us up here. We're getting near the end of the hour. I'm going to finish up with the white elephant in the room. Could you address the time frame of probably the factor for the coffee? I have people having nervous breakdowns because they're out of coffee.
Coffee landed today, so we're back on coffee. So factor 4 is a little bit of a snafu. I have to accept some responsibility for it. I didn't realize that we would be having sourcing issues on anchovies the way we are. And they won't run a partial batch. I can't like split it into small partial batch, and it pushed us out to the end of May. So we're 4 weeks. We're 4 weeks out on factor 4. So that's a big letdown for me. It's a disappointment, but I learned from it. And the forecasting and the triggers have been fixed. So I know, you know, it's another hat I have to wear. I've never really done this before at this scale, guys. I mean. So it's it's fun, but it's also can be a little bit frustrating when you run out of one of your absolute favorite products that you yourself also want to take, and I have limited supply. So.
I'm gonna stop you right there for a second, and I hope I don't cry. Probably gonna, but so anyhow, thank you for your transparency, honesty.
Yeah.
Friends, if you don't know that you are with an amazing company, we need to get out a stethoscope and check your pulse. So real quick, Donna, we're gonna let you ask one, and this will be our last question, and we'll let Dr. Ryan go here and close it out. But Miss Donna, go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, so hold on, so I'll put my video on. Hey everyone. So thanks so much for putting this together and inviting us. So I just wanted to, I forget the woman that just spoke. I concur completely. And Dr. Ryan, I think you're doing an amazing job. The way the growth of this company has gone, and you've been, everything's been spot on up until this Factor 4. But Factor 4, the reason Factor 4 is so popular, I can share. I know most of us are older on this call, but my son's, my oldest son is 23 and the other one is 21. And my oldest one is a very healthy type 1 diabetic. And for him, both boys, they work out all the time and whatever, and they do jujitsu. So he hurt, the one with type 1 hurt his foot in jujitsu, wasn't able to do the grappling and stuff. It was really frustrated because he had a competition coming. So at 23, he wanted magnesium. We're very into, he's more carnivore and everything. So, but we're very into, we read everything. We're very much like you and Lisa with what we do in our house. And I gave him the magnesium, but I also gave him Factor 4 because I know how good it's been for me and my husband and what we've noticed. So I thought, you know what, let me give it to the boys. It's going to be good for them. Within a few days of him being on Factor 4 at 23, he said to me, he's like, hey, my foot doesn't hurt anymore. And it had been hurting for weeks and weeks. He said, is that the magnesium doing that? And I said, no, that's the Factor 4. So he went from not being able to do jujitsu and do the grappling to being able to go back and do everything on the mat. And after a few days of Factor 4, so it's well worth it. I'm sure you'll never be out of it again, but it's because it's such a great product and I can't stress it enough. I know I'm 55, so most of us are older on this call, but it is such a great product and everything's been fantastic.
Oh, Donna, thank you. I can relate to the injury related thing. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Donna.
And I'm a big fan of the CBD. I've been in CBD for a long time and I've messaged you about CBD before, but and I started using this CBD and comparing it to my $100 CBD. It's fantastic. I don't notice any difference except my wallet.
That's right.
I agree.
And I'm going to end this up with this. Dr. Goodkin, I want to tell you, and I'm going to reemphasize what Carl just said. You know, it is so refreshing to be a member of a company that takes responsibility. And, you know, we got part of the responsibility for being out of Factor 4 because we promote it so heavily. We have part of the responsibility of being out of greens because we promote it so heavily. We have part of the responsibility of, well, any of the products we've run out of are the products that we hammer every time we do these calls. So we'll take part of that responsibility from you also. But listen, we just thank you so much for your honesty. That's what we look for. We look for a company that tells us the truth, not a spin. And that's what we've been dealing with. Absolutely, Jim. That's what we've been dealing with in the past. So we want to thank you for that. Listen, we want to thank everybody who's joined us. You know, our goal is to keep perpetuating these silver-haired superstars, even though some of us color it up a little bit. But listen, we thank you so much, Ryan, and we really hope that we can get Lisa on here too, because I love the perspective she brings as a personal health coach and her Live It lifestyle application. And so anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back here hopefully next Monday, 3 o'clock. And thank you once again for joining us, both Carl and Dr. Ryan.